All right, this is, we think, sales training number 9. We have not been tracking it well enough to know, but that's what we're going to call this one. We have been sitting here having conversations, and I don't have massive prepared. I had something in my head, but as we've been sitting around the table chatting, I have kind of varied a little bit on what I was going to talk about. I'm going to talk a little bit about manipulation. This kind of flow with the talk we were having, guys, and what was in my mind before. Everyone wants to take that word. Heck, I've probably taught this lesson before. If I have, this is how important it is. It comes up again within 9. Everyone talks about manipulation and wants to say it's a bad thing. Manipulation is not a bad thing. It is a part of life. Manipulation is freaking gravity. You're going to manipulate people. You're going to be manipulated whether you want to be or not. The strength of your convictions, the strength at which you hold, the strength at which you have a personal code is going to dictate the level to which you are manipulated. Now, I'm going to deal with you for a minute because as the salesperson, you have to be in control of yourself. You have to be stronger and you have to be wiser because the client is constantly manipulating you. They always say there's always a sale made. Did you sell them on your product? Did they sell you on why they couldn't take it? There's enough truth to that to go with it. Let's keep in mind you are going to be guided and you are going to be manipulated, and you need to be aware of how and why. One of the client's main goals is always to try to find a way out. We'll get into a minute how you try to handle that by making them desire, love, feel lost, whatever, all the great basic cores of closing. The question is, why do you ever quit selling? Where does the manipulation get to you? The reality to that is it's never from a fear of loss. One of the best closes you're ever going to use is to make somebody the old takeaway, the fear it's going to end, the fear it's going to stop, the fear I can't have it tomorrow, this opportunity is not going to be here. Heck, I've fallen guilty to that. I think I probably did over the Christmas season at some sale or another. It's a good tactic. It's one you will have to use. But that is not a tactic being used on you when you're on the other side of the sales table. The one that is going to get you, the one manipulation, the one sell they're going to make on you that makes you quit is you don't believe you can sell them. Somewhere in this process, they made you believe that you couldn't get them to sign a contract. Now let's go with legitimate on that. You've got a client, you've actually taken them through nice and steady. You're following up, you got them to the bank, and the banker calls you and says, why would you forward this person to me? They are Satan. They just had bankruptcy yesterday. It hadn't even been yet. We've got, massive tax fraud and all kinds of debt and everything else, and they don't have a single penny of their name. All right. Client just honestly manipulated you, even if it was manipulation with facts. Quick side note, manipulation implies lies. That is not true. Manipulation is more oftenly done correctly with facts. You will long-term quality sale, guide or manipulate, if you prefer the word, which is what we're going to use today, the client to your path by using facts than you will lies. Lies are too hard to track. It is too stinking complicated to hold them in your mind and remember them days, weeks, months, years down the road. If you throw facts, all you have to do is remember truths and you can bring those back out. But the guidance and placement of facts is still very important to getting the client where you want to go. Now, coming back to this, if you have been manipulated by those facts, this client can't buy, done. You pass. I would just challenge you, still keep them on your email list. It doesn't cost you anything. And the guy that went bankrupt had something once upon a time. My experience is they usually get it again. So, it might be 5 years, but 5 years from now, you're going to need to sell again. Let them stay with you. Treat them with respect, treat them with love, and let them come around. More commonly, they're going to sell you on, this is why, we're just not ready. I can't decide on plans. I haven't been able to find land. I haven't been able to get the time to talk to the lender. Well, the wife's, I hate this one, the wife's just not quite ready. Well, the husband just won't make a commitment. the hardship about that is sometimes that's true, and sometimes it's just a gambit. It's a gambit. It's a stall gambit I use constantly. You know, it's the old manager in the corner. Blame the wife. Here, what are they going to do? And if they do, she's going to be so stunned that she's going to beat around the bush and hang up. So tell her all the time, blame me. I tell you guys all the time, blame me. Let it be guided through that way. But if you follow that, you're good to go. Now, here is where it gets a little trickier in the sales presentation. If you are doing your sales presentation correctly, and again, I'm talking about a you build it sales presentation. We build bonds with people. We build relationships with them. You are building a relationship with them. You are following them. You are getting to know them. You're trying to figure out what their loves are, what their likes are, what their hopes and dreams are. You're getting as deep into their relationship and psyche as probably anyone is ever going to, other than a therapist or a minister. And I am also taking out intimate relationships. But I'll tell you what, I guarantee you, your average client has had a number of intimate relationships that they never knew or never were known by as well as you're going to. Guys, I'm not kidding. I've sat down with people for an hour, and I know them deeper than their spouse does sitting right next to them, and they've been married 14 or 15 years. It's not that friggin' hard to see into somebody. But you cannot see into somebody and build that kind of relationship, especially if you're building it on love and trust and a little bit of truth, and not take something back. It is a two-way flow. All right? We are talking, and yes, I know it sounds dorky, we're talking a spiritual level of a connection. Not just physical, not just a logical, borderline metaphysical. Okay? You are getting things from them. You can be manipulated by them. Now, if you're going too far, you're going to miss stuff. If you are dealing, especially for those of y'all out there that are fact people, those of you that are your own salesmen, which I strongly encourage, and your background is construction, and I'm a chest thumper, and I'm a man, and I work hard, and I've got strong arms, and I get dirty, and I know how to do things. You know what? You're better than me. I'm not insulting you. I don't know how to do half that stuff. God bless you. But if you are that guy, you don't tend to get into depth. You don't tend to get into relationships to a huge level. That client, all you're doing is just throwing facts. You are just a verbal brochure. And also say they hate verbal brochures. Verbal brochures mean you should just give them an online, tell them to go to youbuildit.com, give them a brochure. The relationship is what sells, and relationship is what buys. But if you are just doing facts, you are easily manipulated, because that client can manipulate you backwards off of facts, cakewalk. I mean, if Harmony looks at me and she says, Bob, here's boom, 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 the facts, this is what we do, this is how we do it, this is the layout. What we sell is such a freaking good product, that's going to sell some for you. You're going to have people that are just, that's what I need to know. Great, where do I sign? And that's fantastic. That's where half of y'all's sales comes from. But she throws me those. What the heck is her rebuttal for straight facts back? That's great, I'll let you know. That's great, I need to see what my house is going for. That's fantastic. In 2 months, I'm going to know where my taxes are. I'll get back to you. I gave you my facts. You gave me yours. We'll both take our non-sale and walk on down the road. It stinks. It's terrible. You have got to know your ground. Now, all that was said to get back to where we began. Know your core. Know who you are. Know what you do. Know what your lines are. Everyone has a different boundary. I am not here to judge your boundary. I am not telling you this is where you go and no further, or this is where you go and no further. What I'm telling you is this: know yours. It gives you strength. Know what you will back up to. Know how far you will go. If we are talking money, know the negotiating point. If it's $5,000 for planning phase up front, and deep down I know I'd really do $4,000. $4,000 is your wall. Know your wall. And if your wall is water, if it's I may do $4,000, but holy crap, I'm really hungry, I haven't sold one in 3 months, I'll take $500. It's a lie. Your wall's $500. If it's zero, it's $0. And I don't have a problem with where your wall is. Again, that's not my place to judge. Do it for free. But know your wall, because your wall gives you strength when you are negotiating. Your wall also gives you a place to fall back to. It doesn't have to be a weakness that you are willing to fall back. In other words, if your number's $5,000, but you know, worst case scenario pushed, you take $3,500 before you walk them out the door. You better have that $3,500 as a fast draw gun right out of your side holster, man. If that client, and don't walk them on $3,500. If you're going to do that, it's just silly. But no, look at them. If you're getting the hint, hey, yeah, it's just, and they're him-hawing around. You're like, I know this person wants to buy. I know they talked to the bank. I know they're pre-approved. I know they can do this. And I know they've got money. Why aren't they willing to sign? I will tell you right now, and yes, this is slightly off track of what we were talking about. The reason they won't sign is they don't have money. Nobody has money. Nobody. You guys all build a bunch of high-end custom homes and are used to dealing with doctors, lawyers, people that make $250,000, $350,000 up a year. Those guys have. But you know what? And y'all know them. A lot of them don't. Spend every friggin' dime that comes in the door. $5,000 can be a lot of cash for somebody to come up with. If you got a client, you have them, you need to think, hey, maybe they ain't got it. And if your wall's $3,500, you say, hey, John, you know what? I like you. I want to help you. And I know cash can be a little tight when you're getting early because you got to start thinking ahead. You got to give them an excuse. You can't insult somebody's logic. You cannot look at them and say, I don't think you got the money. I'll do it for $3,500. Pride's a bigger pusher than anything, but I look at them and I go, hey, I know what's going on. I need to give you a reason to be able to be okay to accept my generosity. So here's the deal, Lydia. Hey, Lydia, I just want to throw something out to you because I know what a big run it is. You're talking about $5,000 for me. You had to get money for your plans. You're nervous about having a little bit of cash reserve still as things may pop up. You've still possibly got to come up with some money for closing. Let me tell you this. If it will help at all, how about I lower mine to $3,500? And we don't even worry about it. Honestly, my first chance would be, how about I do mine for $3,500 and we'll roll the $1,500 in. It's just part of the closing cost and just part of the cost to build the house. That way I still get my money and she doesn't care. And I will tell you guys, I use that constantly, and I'm going bigger number because I know most of y'all charge more than me. I'm $2,500. My wall is $500. If they can't put together $500 scratch, it is my experience that they are never going to get enough money to survive planning to even close on a loan. But I'll do $500 and defer $2,000 to closing all day long, nonstop, 10 times on Thursdays. I will look at my designers who get $1,500 for drawing plans, and I will tell them, $bucks. And you're going to defer $1,000 to closing. And they'll do it. I give them enough business they have to. If a client can come up with $1,000, says the man that just get by with it, barely that much out of pocket. If they can't come up with $1,000 on a credit card on something, it's probably not good to go. But know where your wall is because it gives you strength to work off of. It gives you range to manipulate in. Also, know your skills for playing those gambits. Know your skills for being able to bounce them. If you are not a great negotiator, if you are not good at holding a bunch of different abstract comments in your head, if you're not good at reading the body and knowing what they're saying and how that affects the next move, have narrower lines. If you are, and God bless you if you are, because there's a way to sell being that way, but if you are just strong-armed, chest-thumping, I'm a man and you're lucky that I'm willing to work with you, hey man, your line might be $5,000, it's $5,000. If so, there is a strength to that, and you're not going to waste a whole lot of time in it. Go ahead. It's not sales, but it has a strength to it. Know your guides and know your lines. It will take care of you through the manipulation. All right, I've gone too long. I have a bunch of other things I want to say here, but I can't go for too much longer. I better stick with us as an individual. I don't have time to flip to the other side of the table like I originally planned. A side note to this, and a confusing side note to a certain extent. You will teach people how to treat you. Nobody, barring an extremely strong personality, and even they are going to react to you a little bit. Nobody, no matter how much they want to say they do, treat you with none of that being on you. It's a classic story. If I offend you, pre-warn you might want to turn off now. Man and woman get married. Very nice couple. They're intelligent. They're working out. They got some strength. They got some weaknesses. But they got a couple little quirks. They get in a really big fight. You know what happens after the fight? Best sex of the guy's life. Classic old joke, Seinfeld, whatever sitcom, makeup sex. Well, they go along and it's good for a few days, and then he stops getting, there's no love there, and things start to deteriorate in the relationship, and it finally boils to a head, and boom, they have a big fight. They work it out over a few hours. Best sex of the guy's life. Keeps having it for a few days. Life is good for a week or two. But the relationship slowly fades, slowly deteriorates. He starts getting any love. Things finally blow up. Come back, have a big fight. Make up best sex of his life. You know what this wife just trained this husband to do? Fight. Whether she knows it or not, she has taught him the thing you want more in life, if you really want to have it, and you want it to be good, piss me off. Subconsciously, this man's going to treat her like crap, get in fights, and piss her off. Why? It's how to get what he wants. She is not meant to. This was not an intentional sell. This was not a huge pitch of, I want to have fights. But it's what you train them. It's what you taught them to do. So that is an extreme, but it's an extreme every one of you can relate to. You can relate to it more if I told it as a joke, because there's enough truth to it you can catch it. None of you can look at a relationship and say, oh, that's Uncle George. But you can all look at a lot of relationships, even your own here and there, and go, dang, there's enough truth to that. I really don't want to look in that mirror. Likewise, you're going to teach your client how to treat you. When they walk in the door, if you're sloppy, if you're messy, if you're not strong and confident, you're going to lose them. If you let them dominate the conversation, they have won the sale and the manipulation. You have taught them that you are the weaker of the two and they can dominate. If you do all the talking, what you taught them is that you're not a listener. How are you ever going to get the communication you need from them? You cannot let them control the conversations. You cannot do all the talking. You need to listen more than you talk. Likewise, if you don't treat them, I got to say this and I got to end. I'm sorry, I'm going to wrap this up fast. You better know yourself and respect yourself. And this is along the exact same lines of knowing what your lines are as far as your negotiating points and as far as your ethics. Know yourself and have strength. If you walk in and you are insecure and you doubt yourself, I don't care what tactics you've learned. I don't care what gambits you've learned. I don't care what facts you've learned. I don't care how much you know about sales. If you are doubting yourself, you are teaching them to doubt you as well. If you are strong and have confidence and believe in yourself, you are teaching them to be strong and have confidence and believe in you as well. I'll give you an example. We got too busy yesterday. We got swamped. I had to deliver a construction manual. I had never done one before. The guys have always done them. I figured pretty easy little cakewalk go through. No, I opened this up and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm dead. I was not prepared. This was given to me 30 minutes ago. I have no idea. Who is your lumber company? Who do you need to send an account up with? But you know what? Client's thrilled. Because I realized it in my head, within 5 seconds I went, I don't know this. So I can't act like I do. So I just boom, set back, crossed my legs, put my hand on it and go, here you go, have fun, start reading. We're going to make sense out of it when we go. Now, your first step is to pull a permit. When can you be here to meet with one of the guys so they can go through your other forms and who you need to apply with and take you down to get your permit? Now, granted, I just added an hour of work to one of my guys' workload that I shouldn't have had to. But I was strong. I was confident. I acted like there's nothing to worry about. She hadn't sat through these before. She had no idea how a manual was supposed to be delivered. As far as she knows, that's how it goes. That's great. I'm happy. He was confident. And she took it. She left with extreme confidence. She left with extreme comfort. She's excited. She's coming back 2 days later at 9:30 in the morning to go down and get her permit. And one of the guys will walk her through the things that she should have been walked through at that meeting. But we had a meeting scheduled that had to be filled. We couldn't reschedule the client. And it went fine because I didn't give her reason to doubt. Know yourself, have confidence in yourself, and you're going to be good. All right, our phones are blowing up, and I got people standing behind to meet with me. Hope that did somebody some good. If it didn't, it does me good to ramble, so thank you for listening, and have a great day.